Welcome to EFTM, and today our first look, we think, at the new iPhone coming in September or October 2021. If you want to know more, if you want to see more of these kind of videos, hit subscribe, ring the bell. We'll bring you everything as we do it right here at EFTM. I've got my trusty Stanley knife. That must mean only one thing. Parcel time. Yes, parcels have arrived. To be honest, I've been on a bushwalk with the kids today, and this was sitting waiting when I got home. I had to wait to get them to bed before I could come and open it up. But I thought I'd do that in all its glory right here. So let's see if this is what I think it is, because it's come from China. And we talk about this every year. What happens is, just for a bit of a flashback, there's Chinese factories that essentially make all these dummy phones, fake iPhones, that are to the millimetre the same size as the iPhone that is due to come out. And that helps case manufacturers build cases ready for when the iPhone comes out, because not every case manufacturer is inside the tent with Apple and able to hit the ground running. So they make these cases. These were last year's. This was the iPhone 12. We saw for the first time this new flat edge, and that was a big deal to see a very radical new design. In fact, for years, the design was all pretty much the same. So we'll put that aside, and we'll remember that last year, they got it very right. So we knew after getting the dummies last year that we had essentially 3 different sized phones: a Max, a medium, and a mini. Which turned out to be 4 different phones overall: the iPhone 12 mini, the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So, in the years that I've been getting these sent to me from sources inside China, they've never been wrong. So why would I doubt them this year? So the question is this the iPhone 12s or is it the iPhone 13? I personally think it's an iPhone 12s. Because 13's unlucky, isn't it? Now, some would argue, my mate Stephen Fennick argues, that you play with that unlucky number. You play with that in some way, but I don't know, we've had 12S's before. Why wouldn't we do it again? All right, let's see. There's a lot of phones in here, I've got to say straight up. There's the full 4. So not hiding away from anything. Let's see what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just let me peel off all the wrapping and let's see what we've actually got. Gone to a lot of trouble to even cover the lenses that aren't real lenses. By the way, these are in no way sanctioned, endorsed, or approved by Apple. I think if Apple were able to find out which little factory was sending these dummies out, they'd be pretty unhappy. I'm sure they try hard to find them too. So, what we learned straight away, if the dummies are to be proven correct once again, is that the lineup is the same: a mini, a standard, a Pro, and a Pro Max. And what we need to see is how they differ from the existing model. So let's bring in genuine iPhones. So these are the real deal from Apple, up against what you'd see as the dummy for 2021. Now, straight up, I think the most obvious thing here is the camera array on the standard and the mini versions. They've gone for a diagonal approach. And the reason that is kind of believable is because when you're making cases, often you'll make a case that does in some way encompass the lens itself, not just the lens island. So either they've got it completely wrong, or this is Apple's way of essentially identifying the 12s. I'm going to keep calling it the 12s, from the 12. If you're out on the street, you want people to know that you upgraded. That doesn't really occur here with the Pro or the Pro Max. Now, one of the other things I like to look at is whether or not we can get a sense of anything different in the notch area. So we've heard rumours that there could be notch changes. There's nothing obviously indicative here that tells us that, but for the first time, the speaker, this is huge. So on the standard iPhone, you can see the size of the notch there, right? This is the iPhone 12 Pro. You can also see, very, very hard to see, but you can just gently see here the speaker. Now that, on the dummy, has been moved all the way up the top. Now there's still clearly a camera within the screen, but the camera has been moved a little bit more to the center, which makes me think that we are going to see a smaller notch. That to me is the most obvious change from the year previous. The SIM card tray is also moved up, if that's to be believed, and the volume buttons slightly moved down. And I'll tell you why that's important. Cases. Let's have a look. I grabbed a bunch of cases that you might have for your iPhone. Now let's compare the 12 mini. It's identical. Slight move in the SIM slot, pretty much the same everywhere else, but that speaker is moved to the top again. So the speaker is right at the top, which makes me believe, though I can't see anything else in there, makes me believe there's going to be something different about the notch. But the camera bump looks identical. So I think this case, this phone, the 12S Mini, will fit perfectly. No, it doesn't actually. The camera bump is different. So this is a genuine Apple case for the iPhone 12 mini, which I'll just put, just for all time's sake, I'll put back on the 12 mini. So it sits in snugly and the camera bump fits in there well. But on the dummy, and remember, these are not dummies to show you what the phone's like. This is actually a dummy so that case manufacturers can make sure their cases fit. There's a difference to the alignment of the lens. Ever so slightly more rounded edges. So the radius on the turn, radius on the corner seems greater. I think that's what's stopping me putting this in there. There's a slightly different size to the camera bump. So cases for the 12 appear to me like they won't work for the 12S or 13. Let's try the Max. The Max, same, is it the same problem? It does appear to be slightly offset by like a millimeter. So again, I don't feel like that actually goes around the phone snugly. It doesn't feel like it's around the camera bump in a snug way. So I think camera bump on the Max is bigger, ever so incrementally bigger. It's wider. So the camera bump is wider on the 12S 13. It's about probably 2-3 millimeters wider if I'm judging it by my own eyesight. And people smarter than me will get out digital measurement tools to tell you that. But the other problem you'll see with, let's just check the button arrangement on the Pro Max, is almost identical, though the SIM card tray slots changes so very slightly. Nothing else much changes. There is an additional antenna bar missing, but that could well be just a dummy oversight. So that's not a change. But let's get a case for a 12 or a 12 Pro and see how it fits with those button realignments that we've seen there. So this is a 12 Pro, fits into this Bodyguard's case beautifully, snug, buttons appear in full alignment. Let's take it off, try it in what is, you can already see there the buttons are not aligned as they would be or should be with the case. So this case won't fit. And look at the camera bump, completely different. So you can see here very, very clearly the difference in the camera bump size on the 12 Pro. Now I'll tell you what that tells me. The 12 Pro may well be getting the exact same. See, the camera bump on the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max are ever so different, ever so slightly different. Whereas on these dummies, they look remarkably the same, which makes me think that what we had last year with the 12 was a lineup that said the Max and the Pro are Pro, but the Max has a better camera. So the Max has a better camera than the Pro, which both have better cameras. These two have the same cameras. My gut feeling, as random as it is that for 2021 and the iPhone 12s, the cameras will be identical in the Pro and the Pro Max. So the diagonal realignment of the cameras on the Mini and the standard 12s or 13, and the size of the camera bumps on all of them is an incremental change, and a very incremental change to the button alignment on the 12s and the 12s Pro. Same feel, same thickness to the naked eye and to the basic feel. There may be 0.5 millimeter in it, but not the same cases because of the camera bump and the button alignment of the Pro and the standard 12s. So there you go. We expect an announcement this year in late September. It was delayed so badly last year because of COVID. I get the sense that Apple will want to bring themselves back on track, but they're also got a lot of other announcements but pending, potentially brand new MacBook Pros and things like that. Pro level computing as well as pro level phones. A very interesting year ahead for Apple. These are their best phones ever. They always are. They don't go backwards. But when you look at what we're potentially getting with the iPhone 12s or 13, you're looking at a big step up for those people. You've got to remember, people that are coming from the 10s, they're now in line for an upgrade more than anyone ever before. So your 10 and 10s owners are now really ready for this upgrade. And we know that this flat-sided, larger screen, I use an 11 now and then. The 12 feels like a bigger screen, and I think that's the advantage that people who are using them feel, and that's what we're going to get through the iPhone 12s or 13 when it comes to market. Absolutely no guarantee these are real. Absolutely no way that Apple would sign off and say these are the real deal, but in all likelihood, this is the lineup for the iPhone in 2021. More details, more photos at EFTM.com. And if you want to see more of this, just follow us and we'll be here all the time with all the latest tech, cars and lifestyle right here at EFTM.